Did you know that during reported clairvoyant experiences, the brain's gamma wave activity can increase by up to 40%? That's right, the same high-frequency brain waves associated with heightened perception and cognitive function might be working overtime when someone claims to see beyond the ordinary. Brain waves are the electrical activity that occurs within the brain, and they can be measured using EEG, electroencephalography. The brain constantly produces electrical activity, and these brain waves are categorized into 5 main types. Delta waves, most prominent during deep sleep. Theta waves support creativity, problem-solving, and emotional connection. Alpha waves are produced when you're awake but in a relaxed, calm state, like when you're lounging on the couch or meditating lightly. Beta waves dominate when you're actively thinking, engaged in problem-solving, making decisions, or dealing with complex tasks. Fun fact, when you're stressed or anxious, your brain often produces high levels of beta waves, which is why you may feel mentally overwhelmed in certain situations. Gamma waves are linked to higher mental activity, such as perception, problem-solving, and memory formation. Fun fact, some research suggests that gamma waves may be linked to states of heightened awareness or even superhuman feats of cognition. The brain constantly shifts between different wave states, depending on the activity you're engaged in. Morning meditation likely increases alpha and theta activity. Work stress, heightened beta waves. Deep sleep dominated by delta waves. Intriguing, right? Hello, friends, and welcome to Brainwaves. But before we dive deeper into this rabbit hole of neural activity and paranormal phenomena, let's take a step back and ask, what exactly is clairvoyance? Clairvoyance, often referred to as clear seeing, is the purported ability to gain information about an object, person, location, or event through extrasensory perception, ESP. While it sounds like something straight out of a superhero movie, tales of clairvoyant abilities date back centuries and span cultures around the globe. From ancient shamans to modern-day psychics, the idea of tapping into hidden dimensions has captivated human imagination. But here's the kicker. Science hasn't exactly rolled out the red carpet for clairvoyance. Skepticism and science, a love-hate relationship. The scientific community has long been divided on the topic of clairvoyance. On one hand, skeptics argue that it's all smoke and mirrors, a combination of coincidence, clever guessing, and psychological tricks. On the other hand, some open-minded researchers are willing to entertain the idea that there might be more to clairvoyance than meets the eye. After all, if the brain is capable of generating dreams, imagining alternate realities, and even creating illusions, who's to say it can't perceive things beyond the ordinary? But let's face it, studying clairvoyance scientifically is like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall. It's elusive, subjective, and nearly impossible to replicate in a controlled environment. Yet that hasn't stopped neuroscientists and parapsychologists from investigating what might be happening inside the brain during these mystical moments. Your brain on clairvoyance. Now, let's get into the juicy stuff. What's actually happening in the brain during a clairvoyant experience? While we don't have a definitive answer, sorry, no clairvoyant lab rats yet, there are some fascinating clues. Brainwaves in overdrive. During moments of heightened intuition or reported ESP, some studies suggest that the brain's gamma waves, those high-frequency oscillations linked to insight and creativity, become more active. Gamma waves are like the brain's version of an espresso shot, helping to integrate information from different regions of the brain. Could this neural hyperdrive explain why some people feel like they're tuned in to hidden knowledge? The third eye and the pineal gland. Are the infamous pineal gland, a tiny pea-shaped structure nestled deep in the brain. Often dubbed the third eye in mystical traditions, the pineal gland has long been associated with spiritual experiences and altered states of consciousness. While there's no hard evidence linking it directly to clairvoyance, its role in regulating melatonin and circadian rhythms might suggest a connection to altered perception states. Temporal lobe activity. The temporal lobe, particularly the right hemisphere, plays a key role in processing emotions, memories, and sensory input. Interestingly, hyperactivity in this region has been observed in individuals who report paranormal experiences, including clairvoyance. Is it possible that an overactive temporal lobe could create the sensation of seeing beyond the ordinary? Compelling theories and findings. If you're still with me, and I hope you are because this gets good, let's talk about the science that's really shaking things up. The quantum brain hypothesis. Some researchers have suggested that quantum processes in the brain might allow for non-local communication, essentially a scientific explanation for ESP. While this theory is highly speculative and controversial, it's a tantalizing idea that could bridge the gap between physics and metaphysics. Remote viewing experiments. During the Cold War, the US government funded research into remote viewing as part of its Stargate project. Participants were tasked with describing distant locations they couldn't physically see, and while results were mixed, some instances were eerily accurate. Coincidence? Luck? Or a hint at the untapped potential of the human mind? The role of intuition. Intuition, that gut feeling you get when something just clicks, might share neural pathways with clairvoyant experiences. Studies on decision-making have shown that the brain can process information subconsciously, leading to insights that feel almost magical. Could clairvoyance be an amplified form of this intuitive process? The brain-ESP connection. Final thoughts. So where does this leave us? While the jury is still out on whether clairvoyance is a real phenomenon or just an elaborate trick of the mind, one thing is clear. The brain is an incredibly complex and mysterious organ. Its ability to create, perceive, and interpret the world around us is nothing short of astonishing. Whether clairvoyance is rooted in neural activity, quantum physics, or pure imagination, it reminds us of the limitless potential of human consciousness. Have you ever had an experience that felt clairvoyant? Do you think science will one day crack the code of ESP? Drop your comments below and let's get the conversation started. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into the brain's mysteries, be sure to check out our other videos on the mind's untapped powers. And like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more brain-bending content. Until next time, stay curious.